Like, welcome to a Wednesday or a Saturday evening, of Cat Space with myself, Buckets, and my co-host, the one and only Leon. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good over here in America. No, I'm only kidding. I'm over here in Australia. I just like this background.
I love it too. Okay, so the topic I've picked for us for today is social media, which is quite thought provoking. My first question is, are we able to put our phones, our tablets, our iPads down and talk to each other again like we used to?
Absolutely. I'm one of the obviously I'm a tech head. I grew up when technology was starting to become a thing. Um, I like the idea. Well, to be honest, I like the idea of being on social media to talk to people, but I do enjoy, just talking to people, not just on social media. I enjoy talking to people one on one.
See, the thing is, I enjoy talking to people as well. And as a counselor, I can actually tell you that you can counsel someone from a computer to a computer, and that does work. But the thing is, you can't really read hand gestures. And one of the things about hand gestures is that human beings will tend to communicate more through their hands than through their mouth. So you can actually tell someone's feelings with their hands when they go, "Oh yeah, everything's fine, I swear." Then
It looks like you're about to get ready to go to the pub and start beating people up.
but yes, right. Then basically going through your mouth, because people tend to lie and to protect themselves. So that's
That's true.
that's one of the things that um, you know computers or uh, phones or any other devices that you might have, like iPads or whatever, kind of stops you from seeing. And that's my thing. But I think that we're getting to the stage due to COVID that people are kind of questioning: do we actually really need to see people to people anymore?
Here's my theory on this first question, and that is, if you were to do a 10-minute poll question in the street and ask people, um, are you able to put down your tech devices and visit a loved one or a friend or talk to someone in person like you used to? People are going to go, no, I'm too addicted and I can't put my phone or my iPad or a tablet down. I can't stop using my equipment because I need it. It's like an extension of me and my body. And sort of that's what I'm saying. Are we able to put down our tech devices and just go breathe fresh air outside, visit our friends, even write a letter or, call someone and say, hey, I'm coming over, or just drive around? Like, are we able to sustain ourselves by putting our tech gadgets down and going, okay, time to go back to the old fashioned way of living life?
I don't think
I think it's a lot harder. I think it's a lot harder these days, obviously, because, like you say, phones, tablets, they're more used these days than anything else. But just say you do organize, you want to meet up with somebody and stuff like that. You're on public transport. That temptation's there. You want to be distracted because of what's going on. Like you did say with COVID, I want to be distracted. So I would tend to, use my phone, look at my phone, get latest news or whatever I need to do. And I would, see that just as a distraction, because I see too many people. I see too many people now are on public transport not wearing masks anymore. And I need that distraction to stop me from, pointing out the obvious.
Okay, well, let's look at the statistics before I move to the second question. Statistics of during the pandemic, you had parents getting their children off their device and saying, let's do a puzzle or play a board game or a card game, or let's watch, let's talk to each other at the dinner table. And it found that 99.95% of households now, their kids will put down their gadgets, sit down at the dinner table with their parents and play board games or card games or Scrabble or Monopoly. And it's helped their kids realize that back in our heyday, we didn't have all this technology that they do now that we use. So it's important to go, we need to find a way to go I need to stop my addiction, put my phone down, on my tablet, on my iPad, and just remember how things were.
Well, the thing
Well,
is,
obviously the 5% never checked out our household. My nieces use their technology all the time, and they just can't get enough of it. The only way they stop is if we take it off them. They must have developed like square eyes or something.
well, I actually, one of the things about the thing that happened during COVID was the fact that sales in Monopoly basically, well, they found that board games on average actually went up in sales because a lot of families believe that, okay, you've got more family time because you have to stay at home.
So technology
and so
came down.
well, yeah. So the use, they felt that if in order to keep psychologically in check and have more of a social
Etiquette.
etiquette, or even maybe a social for lack of a better word, therapy, if you will,
To put down their
yeah, to put down their technology. Board games were in, and we hadn't seen a spike like this for a very, very, very long time. In fact, the only thing that basically beat board games after that wasn't an electronical device was Lego. Amazingly enough.
Okay, since we're on that
Oh
topic,
my, I loved Lego as a kid. I absolutely loved Lego as a kid. I was a Lego man, a Lego boy.
okay, so going to the second question about that is the dangers for children using social media and what is this teaching them, or what it's teaching them about, about bullying, social media,
Non-moderation.
and moderation of social media.
Cyberbullying. Is that what you're thinking? Cyberbullying?
Well, that was one part of my question. So yes, I guess I could add that to that. The dangers for children using social media and what is this teaching them, which includes cyberbullying, which is keyboard warriors, which is, they need to know when enough is enough when it comes to social media.
Oh,
What is this actually
wow.
teaching our children as youngsters getting older?
Well, the
I
thing
always,
is,
I always worry. I always worry about the cyberbullying part of things because, I was at school. I got bullied a lot, but we didn't get bullied on social media because we never had it. Now, kids these days can get bullied at school, and they can get bullied on social media at home, and that can be too much for kids. I see too many reports about kids taking their own lives because they were cyberbullied. There's no real way to moderate this.
and it's actually interesting because it's like it's kind of like a really weird thing where it's like if someone cyberbullies another person, it's like, hey, I'm addicted to the phone, so I have to basically hear more. But it's almost like at the same time you feel blocked or you don't know what to do. And so it's just kind of, I don't want to, I want this guy to leave me alone, but I don't know how except to go block. And you really got to have the courage to allow yourself to press that block button.
But also look at it as, what is this teaching our children? Like, social media is such, not just addictive, but it's a dangerous cyber world to be in.
Absolutely.
Like, what is it teaching them? Like, what are we teaching them?
I think we need to get back to some old school stuff and not worry and not give the kids this kind of technology that they're getting right now because of that cyberbullying. There should be some new lessons in primary school, high school, or TAFE or uni that teaches this or that can teach these kids what how to avoid getting cyberbullied and all that sort of stuff. What can you do? That kind of stuff as well.
Actually, Messenger, like personally, I think it's scary for kids to be on Messenger to begin with. But
Absolutely.
there's something called Kids Messenger.
Yeah, that my nephews are on. And when I first heard of that and them being on it, they added us as me being their auntie and Philip being their uncle. Like, deep down inside, I'm going, is this the right thing for kids to do, to be on kids' messengers? And even though they're grandparents and their aunties and uncles and their parents are on it because it monitors their activity.
Mm.
It's dangerous, but at the same time, it's parental control because they know like their parents can see everything.
Yeah, and the thing is, you need a code. Your parents need
Like two-factor
Two
code
good
or
code.
something.
Yeah, like you can't access that unless you've got the same code. So it is safer. But I had a friend of mine who did an entire assignment on this, and she found that there were on kids, not on kids, on kids' Facebook, or there was an equivalent.
Messenger.
Well, there was kids Messenger, but then there was like a kids Facebook, and she was telling me that there were people literally putting kiddie porn stuff on kids'
Ugh,
Facebook.
that's
Which is
nasty.
really, really crazy. Really crazy.
Okay, but
I'm worried about this kids' messages stuff as well because what if they're adults posing as children? That's what I'm worried about. It's the
Exactly.
same thing that's happening with normal Messenger as well.
okay, that's why I was saying, what is the dangers of social media? What is it teaching our kids? It's teaching our kids that, you know,
To trust people at face value.
mm,
Trust
exactly.
people just by looking at a picture or by a quick interaction and stuff like that.
He's my
They don't. The kids don't know really at the checks. How to really check to see if a person's legit.
yeah. And he's where my third question leads in, which is behavioral patterns whilst in the grip of social media.
Well, it's
Ugh.
like
Behavioral patterns whilst in the grip of social media, which is first comes Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, this, that. And then you've got I'm on my phone, tablet, iPad, disconnection from the real world. Then you have the addiction of not being able to set the phone down. Then it's if you're not on, if you say, oh, like I had a friend or two say to me, oh, I'm gonna quit Facebook, I'm gonna delete everything. They didn't even last a day, Leon, a day, and they came back to everything.
well, it is actually it is considered an actual addiction. Like you wouldn't think that it is because it's not a drug.
No, I think I've heard it. It is actually a legit addiction now. I believe it is a legitimate addiction.
Yeah,
That's
I
what I'm
think I've
saying.
heard of it.
yeah.
The behavioral patterns of it is if I don't get my social media fix, I'm going to go nuts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
So, and you will have withdrawal symptoms as well.
yeah.
It's like-
absolutely, you do.
It's just like, oh, what am like actually it actually has the other spin to it, which is if you watch people on Facebook, for example, and I've fallen in this trap before, which is basically I've seen all these people having really, really, really awesome lives. Like they go to the beach with their girlfriends, or they go to the coast, or they go to America or whatever. And you don't know what else is happening behind the scenes, but you see all these really, really great things that are happening on Facebook. And then you look at your own life and you go and you feel like crap because you're like, my life is going nowhere. And I'm pathetic. Why isn't my life as good as my friend's life? And
Like, why am I so much on social media when I can go out, go for a swim, a walk, I can go for a drive, I can see family and friends, I can read a book, I can, sort of go out into nature. This is what I'm saying. The behavioral patterns, whilst we're in the grip of social media, is that this is our behavior pattern because we don't know any other way or anything else.
The thing is, what I like to a teacher who was a psychiatrist that I knew basically said that the thing is when you post anything on Facebook or any when you present yourself, you always present a different type of side to different people. So that you might have one type of side that you might present yourself to children, which would be caring, loving, supportive. And then you've got a different side to your boss. Again, professional,
Not on social media.
Yeah, well, you could be, but you professional, above board, etc. And then you've got a different side that you might show to your spouse or your wife or your husband, which is loving, caring, affectionate again. But you show different sides to yourself, and Facebook is basically no different because you're showing the side that you want everyone else to see, but that might be only the tip of the iceberg of how you are or how you're actually feeling.
But look at the behavioral pattern, which is, say you are at work, for example, and I have one question leading to the work question, but I'll bring it up anyway. You're at work and your contract says no tweeting, no Facebooking, no Zooming, whatever, blah, blah. Don't check your email, don't check your Facebook. It's only work related. How many of us can go to work without having our phones or our tablets or iPads by our side and going, oh, it's quiet, I can't do without my technology. I'll freak out if I don't have technology. This is why the grip is like it's really a drug. It's insane how addictive it can be.
You know, my previous line of work, which I was working as a print screening place, so they would print certain stuff on like pretty much anything, like shirts, bags, and also screens and stuff like that. I didn't have to worry about using social media during those hours unless it was like a break time or whatever, because I just never worried about it. I was never concerned about it at all. I just focused on the work.
But that adds to the next thing, which is social media making people procrastinate more?
Yeah, I suppose so. I suppose it does.
Lesson.
You guys are on social media posting, what you guys are up to. That's kind of procrastinate. I believe that's kind of a version of procrastination, I think.
Well,
I'm the kind of person that don't really procrastinate that much. I just do whatever I want. Yeah, go on.
Well, I would actually say this is technically not procrastinating because we're working to achieve a goal, which is to get more subscribers and viewers and
more subs.
likes. And
more subs.
But more subscribers.
Give Cat more subs. That way you can get a background like that. Way they can get a background like this.
But that's not to say that I don't love playing. Oh, what's that game?
Among Us.
Yeah, I love playing Among Us. And
I need to play that game. I haven't played it yet.
And I can't stop playing that game.
Okay, here's the next question. Here's the next question, if I may. Here's the next question. Is being on social media taking away our own control?
Actually, it is these days, because if you post what you think and somebody doesn't like it, they can report it, and all of a sudden you can have your freedoms taken away. I've seen this. I've seen this on Twitter, and I've also seen this on Facebook. If there's any voice that dissents with theirs, they immediately flag you as something that you're not, and pretty much counsel you out for a while.
Actually, that's true. That actually happened to Alex Jones. So Alex Jones was really, really popular, but he was a conservative. And we have something right now called cancel culture. Whereas if you don't like...
Don't remind me about this.
Yeah, I'm going to remind you about this because this is social media. Yes.
Good comeback.
So so wait, yo to comebacks. Anyway, so he got cancelled because there were people that didn't like his view. And even though he had a freedom of speech to say, or he should be allowed to say whatever he wants, there are people that can find his material offensive. And so they decided to cancel him. And that's like saying, well, we're all for freedom of speech, but we just don't like your freedom of speech. So we're going to suppress you because we don't think you're saying the right things that we simply don't agree with. But then what would freedom of speech be if we didn't have our own opinions or thoughts?
I know this might not make...
That needs to be moderated a lot better, because basically anybody could report anyone for anything, and an investigation could happen. Oh, hang on, there might be a word there that they don't agree with, that the people, organizations may not agree with. Nope, be gone. That kind of thing. I don't think that's moderated that well.
And how easy would it be to get rid of someone that's competing with you that you think is more popular than you? To go, well, let's cancel this guy out because he's taking our views, he's taking our subscribers. So I
I would
think
rather create a bit of technology where it could tell change culture and political correctness to go jump. I would get more subscribers than anybody.
I mean, look at the fact we're on social media at the moment, and I may get in trouble.
yes, we
I
are.
hope I don't. But let's take, for example, Australian news that was barred on Facebook for a few days to a week.
That was
taking
that
away
kind of
great
that
control.
incident was almost unheard of until last week.
That's what I'm saying, is being on social media taking away our own control. That took away their own control for Australian news to appear on Facebook, to be publicized, for businesses to have their business pages taken away from them on social media because they couldn't have their own control. And suddenly now they're back in control again.
Yeah, see, I didn't like that whole media bargaining at all, because of the fact that Scott Morrison was effectively charging people to have free speech. And all Google and Facebook were doing, even though they were profiting from the ads themselves, because it was basically clickbait. Since he did that, it was like no one heard anything from Parliament, and therefore couldn't argue about anything because we didn't hear anything. And Google owned 71% of the market. And they had the thing, oh, well, you can go to Ask Jeeves.
In the internet browser market.
But why would Google and Facebook want to pay Australia for the right to basically create a bridge to other news outlets that they're profiting from? I just thought that was like the worst idea ever.
Well,
I thought that media blackout was actually pretty cool, because we could see people talking about people or whatever. It's all your friends posting first rather than seeing what's happening with the news first. I thought that was cool for about a week.
Yeah, but the thing is, what we're doing right now, and I did say this to Horsey before, might be considered news, and therefore we would have to pay a tax. So what differs what we're talking about compared to what Google and Facebook were doing? There's basically
classified as a news genre. I think that's probably the reason.
Okay, this is interesting, and you both have a strong valid point, because this is where the other question comes in, and it ties in with what you both are talking about, is social media controlling or programming the way we think?
I would say yes, because we are being influenced by the media, and that's where we get our informed decision from.
I think we're being too influenced by the media right now. That's my belief.
But
there's always the negative report, and everyone's going, "Oh yeah, you're right about that." And then when you stop to think about it, I didn't think of it that way.
Do you notice how in this day and age, as human beings, we're being told, and I mentioned this with Horsey, we're being told what to hear instead of we should be told what we should hear, and we're not, because they're controlling or programming the way I think. Because I've come to see, we can't think for ourselves anymore, so we need
someone else, a third party.
We need a third party to tell us what we can think and what we can't think, what we should think and what we shouldn't think, and what we know and what we shouldn't know. And that's not good for us, our mental health. It's not good for our psyche because we need to rely on newspapers or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or Pinterest or whatever. It's reprogramming what we know now to what we didn't know back in the day, when it was just dial up and you could only jump on for like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes and then log off again.
Yep. Do you actually notice that if you're conservative, you have a conservative point of view, the media likes to brand you as evil or corrupt or whatever. Whereas if you're say a liberal voter, or you support the Labor Party, or you're you're supporting the left, you're thought of as the that's the moral choice, and you should always go with the moral choice. When the reality is, both the right and the left both have good, adequate points to how the country should be led. And they also have their flaws. Both the left and the right also have their flaws as well.
Like, take for example, we got the big federal election coming up next year. Not one campaign has started, but when it does, they're programming us and controlling us to go, no, vote for me because this is what I can do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if you don't vote for me and you vote for the other person, they're going to lie to you about this, when I'm telling the truth. This is why this question ties in, because the social media is controlling and programming the way we think.
There's the truth and there's the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
To be honest, like the quote unquote the truth. You know, I mean, I could do the whole Ricky tricky one, you know, Richard Nixon. I know.
Oh, just go on.
But anyway, I could basically talk about that, but I'll talk about something else because I should just go on, as Kat says. If you like one set of truth, okay, to you versus another set of truth could, again, you're really going to lean to whatever you feel or what you've been brought up to, what you think is right. So it's always going to be from your perception of what is correct, but you're always going to have influences. And when you have rubber stamp politics, especially within the Labor Party and the Liberal Party, there could be something that deep down inside you might feel is morally wrong, but you're still going to go with it because, hey, that's my team. I'm always going to support my team.
I'm not like that. I will go with what I believe is the right idea. I go with my instinct. If this is going to be a topic about one thing and I don't agree with it, I won't support it.
Okay, here's the next question, right? New and upcoming apps and how to change our habits. So the new and upcoming apps that, will eventually come out, or when it does come out, how do we change our habit and not go, oh, new app, download, use,
I don't know if we can change that because that's just the way the world is becoming. That's just, before, when we advertised and stuff like that, or we brought anything forward, you had to build something from scratch. It was made of metal, made of plastic. We presented it in a nice box and stuff like that. And we sold that as an item, and that's how we made money. That's how we sold products, or we made something out of food and did exactly the same thing. But now, it's so easy to create a product with basically no materials at all, except maybe a computer, that I don't think that's ever going to stop, to be perfectly honest, because it's just a new medium.
I don't think we're going to be able to change our styles now. I think we've gone too far into technology now, where if something comes out now, it's like an upgrade on what you have currently. Oh, I like that. Or it's a spin-off. Oh, maybe that's got what I was looking for originally. I wasn't looking for A, B, but in this next thing, there might be C, which is what I was looking at.
I think that there is a part of all humans that basically need to go back to nature and rediscover ourselves. But again, that's only one part of ourselves. And I think within ourselves, we've kind of, for lack of a better word, evolved into this social media DNA. And that's just become of us as we know it, kind of thing.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that Evolution of Man show? How we come from like a Neanderthal thing and then go right up, and then all of a sudden us sitting down. All of a sudden, the final ones are sitting down at a computer just typing away.
No, I haven't seen that one.
The Evolution of Man. You should look for it. It's a great little t-shirt. Great little nerd t-shirt. You'd love that.
That's what I'm saying. Like new apps and stuff. How can we change our apps? Like, for example, I've been told by a friend, oh, Bebo's making a comeback. This is the second time that Bebo is now making a comeback. And
I think I've
my
heard
friend,
of Bebo. I think.
and my friend said to me, when it comes back, will you be, joining? I said, oh, absolutely. I loved Bebo when it first came out. But the thing is, that's what I'm saying. New apps. How do we change our habits? So we go, no, I'm not going to download this because a friend told me to download it, or my friends are on it. How can I change my habit of apps after app after app after app after app after
Well,
app?
I think the best thing that we can do, honestly, is to have a rating system and a comment section, and people will always complain. There will always be people that
Yep.
say, hey, I love this program. And there's always going to be people
There-
that said, I hate this program.
There is a rating system and a download system currently in place on Google and also iTunes. People see how many people, like say it's 4-star or 5-star. Most people are more inclined to go get that, but say if it's like 3 stars or something like that, maybe I'll have a look at it, and if I don't like it, then I could delete it and just say I've tried.
Yeah. But even doing that is still testing out a product to go,
Yeah,
hey,
whether or not I will like this.
If I don't like it, I'll just delete it. If I do like it, I'll keep it. And then you could just, think for yourself, or even just look at the reviews, or go, oh, hang on, this isn't working for me because this thing's taking
Yeah.
my money. So
Absolutely. I've seen a rating system on Steam. I'll make an example of a rating system and how, because rating systems also can be abused. I have seen this on Steam on GTA 5 when Rockstar decided to go after the modding community. The modding community went on a thumbs down blitz on that game, and all of a sudden it went from very positive to very negative in a short space of time, which forced Rockstar and Take-Two Interactive to halt what they were going to do.
So why did they?
That's abuse of the rating system.
So why did they why did everyone give it a thumbs down?
Because it was the modding community that was telling members of the modding community who use their mods and stuff like that to vote down, because what they were planning on doing is they were planning on banning modding altogether.
So it was basically an abuse.
So it went on an abuse of modding system. They abused the rating system.
So if you abuse the rating system and you say, oh yeah, we're not going to have any mods on here anymore, you're effectively cutting someone's job and taking that away. That's
but the thing is that Rockstar and Take-Two, they backflipped on it and allowed it to continue under certain circumstances. And then the thumbs down-a-thon, which I'd probably like to call it a thumbs down-a-thon, stopped.
So that sounds more like a protest, but a really dangerous one.
Mm.
You can call it a protest. I call it an abuse of the system.
Okay, so here's my next question. Okay, here's my next question, and it's a really, really important one. I think we should ask each other. How do we stop bullying when it comes to social media? I know we talked about it in the first half, but how do we really stop bullying when it comes to social media? We're looking at bullying, cyberbullying, keyboard warriors going behind the computers. You can't see them physically, you can't hear them, but they're saying stuff, and that affects everyday people, where people end up in severe depression.
Well, I think,
and it,
personally, I think education, you start there.
Education of social media is an absolute must. We did talk about this earlier on. I think it needs to be taught in schools. I really think it needs to be taught in public schools now these days, because kids are hot wired into this social media stuff, whether they want to or not, because it's the parents that are saying, all right, we're on this, so we'll put you on this. When you grow up, you can start using it. But parents are letting children use this stuff before they are ready to actually use this stuff.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that. In fact, I was playing Among Us, a few minutes ago, and I actually noticed that there was a person asking for everyone's ages, and I thought that was over the top, and I would have like,
That should be a red flag right there.
yeah, that's a red flag right there. So what if someone puts 12 or 10, and then
And they're lying.
yeah, so
That's what I'm worried about. That's why you
Yeah.
don't. That's why some of the stuff that you look at is an immediate flag is A, S, and L, age, sex, and location
hmm,
And I know for a fact that my nephews play it, and his nephews play it. And
on
I've
social
tried to,
media.
yeah, and I've warned my nephews. I said, be careful with that game because you don't know who's playing.
Absolutely.
And, you know, his nephews are playing. And I said the same thing when we had lunch with him. I said, please be careful what you do in this game because you don't know who you're playing with. You don't know what kind of person they are. You know, these aren't computerized. These are actually human beings. with
And
their
whether or
own-
not they're actually kids or
Yeah.
actually adults posing as kids.
Exactly.
That's why I always think that this kind of technology should be kept away from kids until they turn 18 or something like that,
That's
when
what I'm
they're
saying.
old
How
enough
can
to
we
make their
stop
own
the
decisions.
bullying?
well, another thing you could do is you could have, if you're going to have something that's directed at children, perhaps you could have a parent that could monitor it. So if you have two kids playing the same game on, just say it is Among Us, what if you've got a parent just, looking over their
Just
shoulder?
playing in the background and
Or
not
play- or play-
and
or
the kid
playing in
not
the
realizing.
background. Because that way it becomes a family game after that, and they can see everything that goes on.
That's what I'm saying. How do we stop bullying when it comes to social media? Because our
I
kids,
don't believe you can.
it's not just
I
kids,
don't.
adults as well. Like take TikTok, for example. That's another app that has exploded onto the scene. Every solo artist, band, adult, child, mom, dad, whoever, work colleague is on social media, is on TikTok. And I don't know what it is. I've seen it, but I refuse to download it because there's so many dangerous things on
Does
there.
actually TikTok cost anything, or is it free?
No, it's free, but it's very
It's free.
dangerous to be on.
Well, if basically it had a price, if TikTok actually had a price, like say charge someone $7 a month for it, right? That means that if someone was under the age of say 13, 14, 15, they'd need to get their parents to put in a credit card, and therefore the parents would know about it and know exactly what they're watching. That would be one way around it, and TikTok would be happy because they get paid.
Like
I don't know if I don't know if that would actually work that way as easy as you would have thought, because there still might be adults on there posing as kids.
But look at bullying when it comes to social media, right? Cyberbullying. Imagine you're at work, and here's where my other question ties in: are we secretly spending too much time on social media while at work? And also, how do we stop the bullying when it comes to social media? For example, you're at work and you're doing your job, minding your business, not using your social media platforms, and in the work you've got people who don't like you, and they're going around Facebooking each other and sending memos to each other, and that's one form of cyberbullying. And people, you can hear snickers and laughing. At school, you can see them on their social media platforms, videos on TikTok, on YouTube, and sending each other emails. Like, you've got not just children, you've got adults. And but how do you stop that?
Well, one thing, I used to do karate, right? And one of the things that my sensei taught me is that the higher you go, the more you're capable of actually saying no. And I think that if we kind of teach people how to say no, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm right. Don't worry if my face breaks. This is actually a fake background. I'm actually using a program right now, which is a fun program, but it's can be very dodgy. Don't worry, I was just looking behind me.
What if basically we taught our children to say no if they thought they were trapped? So if they thought they were being cyberbullied online, what if we taught a basic thing, which is say no to bullying? I mean, maybe we could use a cool word, because the thing is about using the word bullying, it's not really a cool word or whatever.
No.
But if we used if we
Get your hand off it.
yeah, or if we basically, that's actually pretty bad actually. But if we
All
actually,
right, that does sound a lot worse than the idea was.
Concentrate.
if we basically found a way to teach our children to say no to social media bullying, at a really young age and put that in their heads, then we could actively control social bullying a lot better, rather than basically throwing them into the deep end without knowing what's going on, who they're talking to, whatever, and then worrying, you know, are they talking to a 46-year-old that says that they're
Yeah.
10?
Okay, can I just say something before we ask the last question? Whether you're a child or whether
That's the
you're
third time I've done that.
whether you're a child or whether you're an adult, if you're getting bullied on social media, we urge you to say no to bullying. Tell your parents or tell your colleagues or tell your boss, speak
Or
up.
if it's or if it's cyberbullying from somebody at school, you got to tell your teacher or tell your
Yeah,
principal.
or
Let them
if
know
it's
what's
at
going
work,
on.
or if it's at work, tell your boss, stand up and let your voices be heard. We want to raise awareness that bullying in any way, shape, or form is not tolerated. And here at CatSpace, we do not tolerate any form of bullying, whether it's face to face or cyber. Speak up and speak up loud.
Well, maybe we could just say it's okay to say no.
Yeah, it's okay to say no. That's it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Because
Here's one for you guys regarding social media. Your first experiences with social media, what was it?
I think it was MySpace at first. I was on there for a
Oh
while.
yeah.
And
I,
of course,
yep, I was.
it felt, you know, you could put your celebrities as your top friends, but they would never speak to you, and your friends on the bottom of the list. And the fun thing about it is you could change the format of the layout and have whatever design you want off Google. But the thing is, you instantly, the feeling I got then was still feeling same feeling I got now, which is fake. It just felt unordinary to me. It felt really fake. You're making friends with celebrities, putting them in the top 4 or top 10 or top 6. They never respond to you anyway nowadays, but it was a fake platform for me. I'm sorry, Tom, don't come after me, but it just didn't
You
feel
should be saying
real.
sorry to Justin Timberlake. Doesn't he own MySpace?
Yeah, sorry, Justin, but sorry, Justin, but it didn't feel real at the time, and it still doesn't feel real now, because the physicalities of Facebook, when Facebook exploded, everyone left MySpace, Tom
I
retired,
went there.
and then everyone went to Facebook. Now Facebook, everyone is still on it, but now they've Mark Zuckerberg bought Instagram and WhatsApp as well. So we all have Instagram, we all have WhatsApp, we all have, I don't use Twitter, but I did use it. We all have Twitter, Pinterest, whatever you want,
I am such a noob on Instagram. I'd tell you that much right now. I
you know
am the
what?
biggest noob on Instagram.
You know what? I really loved 9MSN, and I miss 9MSN as well. And
remember the days of Messenger?
Ah, yes, I remember that
See,
on
see,
MSN
I-
Messenger.
one,
Yeah.
one of the things I loved about 9MSN was the fact that you could basically write a chat thing, whatever you wanted. I mean, they had mods and stuff in there, but you could basically write a topic of interest, whatever you want, say rap music, or freestyling. I used to love freestyling in there, and
Yeah.
basically it was great because you could meet, instead of basically trying to figure out what people are into and whether you like someone or not, and not knowing what they're into or not, or whatever. I loved it because I knew exactly what I liked and what other people liked, and I could basically hang with the people that had things in common with me. And that was something I really liked about it, and I really missed about it. And I actually through 9MSN, I actually met 8 or 9 other friends, and we built a site together, which is really, really funny.
My first experience with that social media stuff was a program for the PC called MIRC, Microsoft. I think it was Microsoft Internet Relay Chat, MIRC. I think that's what it was for. It was just basic stuff you type into your friends and stuff like that. That's all it was.
Actually, I have to take that back. Mine was MySpace, and then it went MySpace, Bieber, and then Facebook. Then
See,
Bieber
I
shut
know.
down and Facebook.
I think when I left MIRC, I think I went to MySpace. That was when I learned to songwrite.
I actually play games like Gangster Mind, and that was a kind
Facebook.
of no, it wasn't on Facebook. it was basically like its own website itself, and you had to be basically to be any gangster you wanted to be, and you created your own character to be who you wanted to be, and you basically clicked people to attack them and whatnot, and you could get in the top 10.
Sounds like Warcraft. That sounds like
Well,
Warcraft to me.
It's well, I mean, Warcraft was just a little bit more advanced, but it was a lot of fun, and you joined gangs and things like that, or you could lead your own gang. And whoever made the most amount of money at the end of it actually got a cash prize.
Don't give anybody that
Uh,
train of thought, Philip.
you know, so I tried
Don't
very hard.
influence.
But the thing is, I remember when the world went through a financial recession. Basically, the prices changed, and no one could basically fight because no one could afford to buy anything, and they had a crash.
No. Oh,
Um,
jeez.
so,
Okay.
so it was basically, yeah, the only way to basically make any real money off it is if you actually won the prizes. And when they raised the prices of the game, no one could basically afford to buy anything, and so everyone just ended up either quitting to another game, or they basically just quit the whole game. And that was really sad for me, because that was a major community, where again I met lots of friends, and I even heard about people wanting to write books around the adventures of Gangstermind. It was fantastic.
And see, okay, so let's ask our last question before we wrap up. What is the good and bad of social media? As now you've talked about games, you have gaming. So you have all the gaming you need, music, seeing
Yep.
friends like yourself, as we're looking at you right now, Tony, live face to face, calling people, photos, messaging, keeping
Yeah,
in
yeah.
touch. The bad is the addiction, the cyberbullying. What do you guys think?
I think the negative parts of it would be the trolling.
Yeah, I
Just say if you don't like if somebody doesn't like what you posted, them and their friends can come over there and just troll the crap out of your post until either you have to block it or just delete it or something, like the trolls have won or whatever.
you know what?
That's the negative side of things that I really don't like about social media.
I could kind of agree with you on that, because the thing is, I have lost so many friends on Facebook, where if I was to talk to them in person, on one-on-one in person, I could repair the friendship and go out for a drink
Yeah.
straight away. Whereas because people just, I think it's because you can't hear tones on Facebook, that you're just reading, and then you can very easily misinterpret what someone's saying because you
I
can't
agree.
hear the tone.
I agree.
And it's so much easier to lose lifelong friends on Facebook than it is in real life. And that's one
Yeah,
of the things that
I
hate
I
about
agree.
social media.
I agree. I lost a few friends last year because of some of the stuff that they were doing and some of the stuff that I was doing. We just weren't compatible. Wasn't We just started not becoming compatible. Like friends, sometimes drift away, but one person had a view and another person had an extreme opposite of you,
Mm.
and that was the end of that.
And it's the number one, icebreaker to that is, oh, I agree to disagree. And
Mm.
sometimes if you can do it, I mean, that might save the friendship.
Sometimes sometimes too many big egos can also, you just can't repair two big egos.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and I had a really big ego, but like that's just how life is. But you know what? I think that there have been people that I had a friend of mine who was doing a really I'm not going to mention his name because I could get sued.
Well, you mentioned it was a he.
Yeah, so he had a Xanga page actually, and he was very conservative, and I didn't like his views too much. But I knew who he was, and I knew which church he went to and stuff like that. And I used to hang out with him on a regular basis. And we would basically troll each other online, and then on the weekend we'd basically see each other and have Maccas together.
Nice.
So that would happen because we would be able to basically act as humans person to person, but we couldn't. We acted like absolute dogs online.
May I please say something? I think the down parts of it, like what you guys mentioned, where I don't have to re-mention it, but the down parts of it is that now you've got, you know, the physical world, which is planet Earth, and you've got the cyber world, which is social media, where now even friends and family are leaving us because it's a difference when it comes to say the pandemic, for example. There's some who don't believe it's real, who think it's a flu. There are some who are political, who say, for example, like Donald Trump, and you're against Donald Trump and you're a Democrat, and they sort of take sides, and it creates a massive problem where a fight breaks out online. Again, as you can't hear tones, so you like, I know I can blame myself for this because, you know, I've got into debates or arguments with friends about, you know, stuff, and you can't read tones, you can't hear tones, and you sort of like become defenseless, so you have to defend yourself. And sort of, I hate the fact that the pandemic and political views have now taken friends and family away from each other instead of kept them together.
And they have had a big influence on social media in the last 12 months. I would, if I was to guess, I would say it has to guess more of the negative side than the positive side the past 12 months regarding the pandemic and social media.
Well, there you go. Okay, final thoughts. Social media.
I think it can work as a positive force if if you have a certain set of rules that you abide for yourself.
Proper moderation.
Yeah, proper moderation. I also think, though, that because you have an object in front of you as opposed to a person in front of you, your ego will just go through the roof.
Good wording, actually. Leon?
Yeah, I do agree with that, but I believe on the more realistic side, I believe that there's more negative posting out there these days than there are positive posting. I think it's too late to stop certain social medias, like regulating it, because it just can't be done at this point because there's too many people negative posting. Someone's going to have to step forward and create a new version of social media and stuff like that, but done right, because it just hasn't worked. It hasn't worked, and it's not working now. I see more negative posts than I do see positive posts these days.
I have to agree.
I actually, one thing I'd like to point out is that as far as internet dating is concerned, because you've only really got a picture to work on, right? You do kind of tend, if you get to know the person, you do kind of get to know the person's personality more so than just looks alone. And I think maybe that's actually a good thing, to be honest, because then you're in love with the person rather than in love with the looks.
But you're more in love in social media world. You're more in love with their looks and their social media personality, online personality before you meet them. Because say you meet them, just one last thing.
And their personality could be different than what they're typing.
Yeah.
And you meet them online, you meet them face to face to have a lunch or a dinner or a coffee. And it turns out, you know, all this time you're getting to know a picture. And when you meet the human, it's like, oh,
it's different.
Yeah, it's different to what you think. That's, you know, that's the control of it.
I'm sorry, I got it. It's story time again.
No stories.
Just one.
No.
So I knew, I knew a friend of mine, right?
That's one time at band camp.
Yeah, I knew a friend of, well, close. I'm not going to mention his name again because he's happily married and I don't want a divorce. But he would date with me, you know, online, and I would introduce him to some girls and stuff, and he would basically try to pick them up. And he would always do this thing where he said, "Oh, I wrote a poem just now," and this poem would go for 10 pages. You know, and yes. I always thought that was so funny because my friends always thought that my other friend basically was just this massive, massive player, and that he could never stop, be loyal or whatever. When the reality is he had no other girlfriend, and I just thought that was hilarious that they thought that he was this massive player.
Well, anyways, that was story time. That comes right to the end of it. It's 25 past 8. I think we should say goodnight.
Oh, good night.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We look forward to your company.
You're welcome. It's good to
Saturday.
be back.
And we have another topic for you next Saturday. So same time next Saturday.
Dun, dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun, dun. Wait and see. Good night, folks.
Good
Bye.
night. Bye.